Martha and Frank had been married for nearly 40 years. A marriage built on stubborn love, unspoken sacrifices, and secrets neither fully dared to name. They had one daughter, Kelly, now 38. From the outside, the family looked unremarkable. A retired father, a still working mother, and an adult daughter who visited often. But beneath the walls of their small house, shadows grew darker each year. Frank had been forced to retire early, in his mid-50s, after decades of heavy smoking left him with severe COPD. His breathing turned to gravel. His cough rattled the windows some nights. The disease had stolen his career, his strength, and slowly, his pride. But what nobody outside the family knew, Martha didn't just work 12-hour shifts to pay the bills. She worked them to cover something else. Every morning, Martha would rise before dawn, her bones already aching, slip quietly out of bed, and whisper a soft prayer that today wouldn't be the day she collapsed. She worked at the local hospital, 12, sometimes 14-hour days, then came home to cook, clean, and check on Frank. Kelly begged her to slow down. "Mom, you can't keep doing this. You're 64. Your knees, your back. You look exhausted all the time." Martha would only smile, her eyes never quite meeting her daughter's. "I'm fine, honey. Your dad needs me. We need the money." Kelly would sigh, frustration simmering beneath love. "Mom, there has to be another way." But Martha would never say why she had to keep working, not just for groceries or electricity, but for payments Kelly knew nothing about. Late one night, while Martha slept in the recliner, Kelly stayed over to help clean the house. She opened a drawer looking for a pen and found an envelope marked "Final Notice." It was a bill from a private clinic. Kelly frowned. The date was from 2 months ago, a total of $12,000 with another payment overdue. What treatment? For whom? She glanced toward her father, asleep in the other room, his breathing shallow and wheezing. "Mom, what are you hiding?" Kelly whispered to herself. But she folded the letter back and tucked it away. She'd ask her mother in the morning. The next morning, Kelly confronted her mother gently. "Mom, I found a medical bill. What is this? Is it Dad? Is it you?" Martha paused, her hand trembling as she set down a coffee cup. "It's nothing, sweetheart. Your father's treatments, it's just old debt." "Then stop paying it. You can't work yourself to death." "I have to work," Martha snapped, her voice cracking, then softer as tears welled. "Your father depends on me, and there are things you don't understand." "Tell me, Mom, please." But Martha turned away. "One day you'll know." A week later, on a rainy October night, Martha finished another punishing 12-hour shift. Her eyelids were heavy, her vision blurring under the cold fluorescent lights of the parking lot. She called home. Frank didn't pick up, probably asleep already. The road was slick, the sky an endless gray. Martha thought of her daughter's worried face and whispered, "Just let me make it home tonight." But just a mile from home, her head dipped forward, eyelids shutting for a breath too long. The car veered off the road, crashing hard into a tree, hidden from sight by a line of pines. Frank woke hours later, the silence in the house unsettling. He called Martha's phone. No answer. Again and again. By dawn, terror set in. He called Kelly, voice shaking. "Pumpkin, your mom isn't home. She never came back." Kelly's heart dropped. "I'm coming over. Now." She called the hospital, the police. No one had seen her mother since clocking out. The hours stretched into a day, and then 2. Guilt clawed at Kelly. "I should have done more. I should have forced her to stop." Frank barely spoke, his oxygen tank hissing in the background, the house echoing with fear. On the second night, a search team discovered Martha's car, hidden by trees and brush. She'd been unconscious, trapped inside, cold and dehydrated, but alive. They rushed her to the hospital where Kelly and Frank waited outside ICU, their hearts knotted with dread and fragile hope. Martha never woke up. 3 days later, complications took her life. The woman who had carried the family on her back for decades was gone. At the funeral, Kelly's grief turned molten. She turned on her father, voice raw and shaking. "You did this! I told you for years to stop smoking. If you could work, she wouldn't have had to kill herself working." Frank, gray and trembling, whispered, "I know." But Kelly's fury burned hotter. "You ruined everything! You killed her!" Frank said nothing, his silence a confession. Days later, Kelly returned to the house to sort through her mother's things. She found a small locked box in Martha's closet. Inside, another stack of medical bills. Not for Frank, for Martha, a biopsy, chemotherapy sessions, and finally a letter from an oncologist. Stage 3 colon cancer. Prognosis poor. Patient declined telling family. Requested to continue working as long as possible. Kelly fell to her knees, the papers spilling across the floor. Her mother had been dying and never told them. Kelly ran to her father, tears streaking her face. "Dad, did you know?" she cried, shaking the letter in his face. Frank looked at it, his eyes widening, mouth opening and closing like a fish out of water. "No, no, God, no," he rasped, his voice breaking. "She told me it was just back pain. She never told me." And then Kelly saw something she hadn't seen before. True devastating shock. Frank's body slumped, oxygen tube slipping from his nose. All this time, she was dying, and I didn't see. Martha hadn't just worked herself to death to cover Frank's medical bills. She'd kept working to pay for her own secret treatment, so Kelly wouldn't find out, and so Frank wouldn't feel more guilt. She had protected them both, even as her body gave way. Kelly's rage turned inward. "I blamed you," she whispered, sobbing, "but Mom hid the truth from both of us." Frank held her hand, tears spilling. "We both failed her, Pumpkin. I failed her first, and then she failed herself by trying to carry it all alone. By the time I realized she had betrayed me, it was too late. And trust me, if this story has you locked in, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I've got more where this came from." Sorting more papers, Kelly found a sealed envelope addressed to her. "My beautiful Kelly, I know you'll be angry. I should have told you, but I couldn't bear the thought of you worrying or your father blaming himself even more. I worked because it made me feel alive, even as my body betrayed me. And yes, because I loved you both too much to let you see me fade. Promise me something. Forgive him. Forgive me. And most of all, live your life freely. Carry love, not guilt. All my love, always, Mom." That night, Kelly sat beside Frank. "Dad, she didn't tell either of us," she whispered. Frank nodded, voice gravelly. "I thought my smoking killed her. Maybe it still did in a way, but she made choices too." Kelly leaned her head on his shoulder. "We can hate what happened, but maybe we shouldn't hate each other." Frank choked out a breath. "Your mother would want that?" They built a garden in Martha's honor. Roses, lavender, and a small stone that read, "Loved beyond measure." Frank, frailer now, helped plant every flower, coughing but determined. They placed the locked box of her letters beneath the oldest rose bush, like bearing secrets that no longer needed to weigh them down. Kelly quit her second job, realizing life was too short. She spent more evenings cooking dinner with her father, who began writing stories about Martha. How they met, how she laughed, how stubborn she could be. They uploaded those stories to a small YouTube channel called Unmatched Stories, sharing Martha's strength with the world. One video titled, "My Mom Worked Herself to Death for a Secret," went viral. Hundreds of thousands of comments poured in, sharing grief, love, forgiveness. And somehow, sharing her story helped heal them too. One sunset, Kelly sat beside Frank in the garden. "I still miss her every day," she whispered. "So do I," Frank wheezed. "But she taught us how to live, Pumpkin, even now." Kelly smiled softly. She really did. And as the sun set behind the roses, Martha planted with her love and hid her secrets beneath. Kelly and Frank found peace, not by forgetting what broke them, but by holding on to what kept them whole: love, forgiveness, and each other.